click here. Good. Ready. Right, we're live. We're on air. So, welcome everybody. Welcome to this Steve Knight Memorial event. I'm really pleased. I know that I've got my. There we go. Okay, little technical hitch. Right, great. My name's Judith Robinson, and I am really pleased to be hosting this online event tonight to celebrate the life and work of Steve Knight. So my name is Judith, and I'm somebody who knew Steve through music, and especially through the music organisation Drake Music. I expect that most people joining us this evening know Steve, but for anybody who's here who doesn't, then I have also discovered that lots of people knew him through different routes and knew different things about him. So I guess this is a chance to join up the dots. I've put together some music and photos and stories that show, hopefully, the different aspects of his life. And right at the heart of his life was music. He was mad about music. He was always listening to it. And there was a time when he was really prolific. He played lots and composed lots as well. And in fact, that's what we're going to kick off with. We're going to kick off with listening to one of his pieces of music, which I'm really pleased to say that I'm on as well. One of the things that I used to do with the person who's now my husband, I used to head over to Greenwich and we would play in his studio, and we would sort of play along to things that he composed. And we used to have a lot of fun in the process. And along with this piece, which is called Maddie's Dance Moods, I've put some photos to it, lots of photos from different people from different walks of life that hopefully give a sort of picture of what he was like and what he was into. So here we go, Maddie's Dance Moods. So that was the first piece by Steve, Maddie's Dance Moods. So Steve is a friend. Well, Steve had quite a gruff exterior sometimes, but he was very loyal to his friends. And of course, we were all very loyal to him in return. One of Steve's carers, Kirill, worked for Steve for over 20 years, right up to when Steve died. And Kirill said to me recently, he said, when I met Steve, I became part of his family. Later on, he became part of mine. And I think Kirill was particularly thinking about the fact that he has two boys. And I think Steve was quite fond of the two boys. Kirill says, all along, he was a dear friend. Rest in peace, my friend, and let the music be with you. And to sort of to celebrate Steve's love of Dennis and Alex, here is a video of the two boys. They learned the guitar, so they're playing a very seasonal duet. It's very sweet.
Merry Christmas!
So I said it was seasonal. Another thing about Steve was that he absolutely loved technology. He was a real tech head. And whether we knew him for having the biggest TV of anybody I know, or whether he was hacking an iPad to make it work to operate, the lighting and all the environmental control in his flat, or whether it was just a very nicely built car, he was, always into his technology. And in his musical role at Drake Music, especially, he was quite a pioneer in sort of using music technology as a way of making music, and in one of the earliest people really in the country to be doing that. And he took great pride in, there was a piece of software called MIDI Grid, which was made by some people at York University, and he took great pride in being able to test that to destruction and making it crash, and then discuss with Andy Hunt, who made the software, being able to sort of tell him that, well, when I do this, it does this, and helping Andy develop his software further. And something else that Steve was also very proud of was being the first person in the country to actually test out a foot switch and a means of controlling a computer so that you could kind of select words and write, sometime in the 80s, and it's when he was a student at Hereward College. So what I have been able to manage to find, and it's thanks to somebody called Patrick Poon, who's based in Edinburgh, I've got hold of a little clip of Steve when he was at Hereward College, demonstrating how this new software works, and it was broadcast on the BBC. I'm not sure what on what programme, but there's a very fantastic BBC voice explaining what's going on, and you'll get to see Steve as a very youthful teenager. Here we go.
Stephen Knight has also been involved in a long project. He's a college student, although he has little speech or use in his hands. He uses his feet to operate a computer by means of a special 8-position switch. The MacApple Special Word Processing program enables Stephen to do all his written work. Movements of the 8-position foot switch produce a series of code numbers. Each number represents a symbol on the keyboard, and the computer operates as if Stephen had pressed the key directly. The speed of writing is increased by the use of word lists, which appear on the screen. Instantly, the selected word is printed in full, saving a lot of typing. The contents of the screen can be printed on paper at any time. Stephen is able to enter any word he likes into the word list for future use. The program automatically puts the new word in alphabetical order. The MacApple also allows arithmetic to be laid out just as it would be in a book. Facilities like this are very useful for Stephen, who is studying general science as part of an O-level course at Hereward College, Coventry. Stephen was the first person to use the MacApple program. It was developed at his old school, Charlton Park in London.
And that's all we get. But it's a little fascinating insight into Steve as a much younger person. I know that somebody in the Zoom bit of this event, Sue Elsgood, who's here too, she's going to tell us a little bit about Steve from her point of view later on. But I know that Sue went to school with Steve. He went to Charlton Park School in South East London first, and then he went on to Hereward College. And Sue remembers him from that time, and obviously I didn't. The point at which I met Steve was when he finished at Hereward College, and somebody, I'm not sure who, somebody told Steve that there was a music workshop starting up in Blackheath, which was set up by Adele. And somebody had the idea of giving him a keyboard, a musical keyboard, to play with his feet, because his feet had the most facility. So somebody had the idea of transferring the idea of controlling technology with his feet from a computer like that MacApple, and transferring it over to the keyboards. So I thought it was really appropriate that the next thing we should hear is again Steve playing some of his own music. And what I like about this track is that he's actually playing live. A lot of the music he composed it in a sequencing software on a computer, and he sort of could spend time perfecting the timing and multi-layering tracks of drums and bass and so on, and inviting friends in to sing or play with him as well. But this piece is recorded live. It was recorded at the Science Museum, and it was a sort of collaboration between the Drake Music Project again, and also Symphonia 21, which is a sort of professional orchestra. So there were two players from that professional orchestra, but playing with a number of disabled musicians who we've named in the video, and also Steve, who's playing the vibraphone. Well, he's not playing the vibraphone, he's playing an electronic a musical keyboard, but it's got a sample, it's triggering a sample which makes the vibraphone sound. So it's a really nice, this is very quite a chilled atmospheric piece. And here we go. It's called, I think it's called Music Code. So let's have a listen. So there you go. There's Steve in a different musical mood. Okay, so I've got great pleasure now in introducing you to another musician. This is Claire Smith, who's a friend of mine. I met Claire as Steve did through Drake Music. So I'm going to hand over to Claire now.
Hello, everybody. I'm delighted to be at this event as a memorial to the wonderful Steve Knight. I knew Steve for a long time before he passed away last year, which made me very, very sad because he has been an incredible support to me as I became more and more disabled. But what happened because of Steve's passing is I was reinvigorated to develop my own creative practice again. And that was made possible by a grant from Arts Council England, which was fantastic, which has enabled me to employ people to physically assist me, like Kate, who's to my right, who are brilliant technicians and also very knowledgeable about music as well. But what I've done today is I've made a piece called Audio Experiment through that work that I'm doing with the Arts Council grant. And the piece is made from music recorded from Steve's recordings that he had recorded in the first place. So I've made that into another piece. That's my first piece. And then my second piece is really a lot of it is using sounds. Steve and I went to the Black Country Living Museum when I lived in Birmingham, and he took me in his van to the Black Country Living Museum, and it was fantastic. But there were lots and lots of chains and just made lots of metallic noises. So I am delighted to be able to play that to you. Yeah. Ready? Yes, please. Yeah.
It's that sort of a story that I would
Hello. Did everybody hear both pieces? Yeah?
Yes, I heard it all as one long piece actually,
Okay,
but I enjoyed it very much.
good.
Thank you. Great. Well, thank you very much, Claire. I'm guessing that, and yes, it's just great to hear you making music again. And I hadn't realised that it was Steve's passing that had kind of actually invigorated you and made you want to play more. So that's really nice. Yeah.
It was completely that, because I realised that I was wasting my life because I was becoming more disabled, and I was thinking, I'm not an old woman, I'm only 52. And so I thought, yes, I have to carry on, because Steve wasn't able to carry on because he died so early, really, as we all know. But he was an incredible man. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Claire.
Sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hand over to another very special woman, Sue Elsgood, who knows Steve from very different walks of life. Over to you, Sue.
Hi Judith, hi Claire, hi everyone. I'm really loving all the music and the photographs and the films. It's wonderful. Thank you, Judith, so much for putting it together. It's really amazing. I just would like to pay tribute to Steve, because he was so much loved and admired by everyone that knew him, and I wanted to talk a little bit about various aspects, as he said. So, as you may know, Steve was extremely assertive and valued choice and control in his life. And he was a founder member of the Metro GAD Management Committee, which is Greenwich Association of Disabled People, our local disabled people's group. And he made a huge difference with his hard-earned wisdom, experience and passion. And in a large part, Metro GAD owes its continued existence to Steve's insight and determination. In fact, Steve consistently created unseen opportunities out of his sheer determination and passion. Those that listened to Steve always benefited. So anyone also that knew Steve realised that he was never someone to do anything by heart, and that he was never afraid to speak his mind. He took the world by the scruff of the neck and demanded that disabled people be taken seriously. And this he did in all he achieved, but also just by living life to the full. With his unique tenacity, vision, and of course his wicked sense of humour. Famously, he would say, if you didn't laugh, you would cry. And Steve frequently made all those around him cry with laughter. And his often outrageous but always comic comments on his everyday life. To those that he loved and treasured, he told it like it is, with blunt directness, but always with compassion and with a broad grin on his face. I myself have known Steve since we were really young. We were 11 when we were pupils at Charlton Park School that we saw in the film earlier. We also went on to further study and good times at Herringwood College in Coventry. Steve often looked back on those days as his golden years. But before I even knew him, Steve always had a great talent for engineering and all types of technology. He immediately understood, for instance, how much more important and relevant it was for him to work practically with the wheelchair engineer at school rather than to study French, when, as he himself sometimes joked, when looking back, I couldn't even easily be understood speaking English. So why would he learn to speak French anyway? Steve adored horses as well, and horse riding, something he'd learned to do at Charlton Park. But every time he was thrown off that horse, he would insist upon getting back on the horse again immediately. And that was an attitude that permeated the whole of his life. Steve was also a consistent innovator. He was one of the very earliest pupils to be given extra time and to be allowed to use a computer for public examinations, like his exams at school. And these opportunities subsequently became easily available to any student who needed it as a result of Steve's singular determination to get that in place. Steve's honesty, directness, humour and intelligence often won him huge admiration, respect and lifelong friendship, and I'm proud to admit to all three, any time you spent with Steve paid you back in dividends, to which all Steve's friends and colleagues at Metro Gad as well will also gladly testify, as for many other people whose life he touched as well. With Steve's passing, someone unique and inspiring has moved on. But I think everyone that knew him will agree there better be some accessible ramps for Steve in heaven. Otherwise, there'll definitely be hell to pay. Steve, we love you and we miss you very, very much.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Sue. That's really nice. Yes, I'm finding it quite hard to think of something to add, but that's, yeah, I think you've summed up Steve really amazingly, and thank you so much for sharing that with us. Oh, right. So we are going to move into sort of one more, thinking about Steve from one more part of his life, which is that he gave a lot of time to Greenwich Association of Disabled People, and it was great to hear from Sue how important that was to that organisation. But Steve was also a trustee of another organisation called Liquid Vibrations, and Adele Drake, who set up Drake Music Project, later Drake Music, has in later decades set up another new charity that is called Liquid Vibrations, and it's an organisation that has sort of devised a practice called musical hydrotherapy, and it's a way of helping children. It's been children so far, but children who can be very severely disabled, but who through hydrotherapy in a hydrotherapy pool, with the added sort of experience of listening to really amazing music, have this sort of transformational experience of physical experience, and a sort of being able to engage with the music, being able to respond, and so on. I'm really proud. I've just become the chair of Liquid Vibrations. Sadly, I became chair after Steve passed away last year, so we weren't able to sort of serve on the board together. So that's a shame. I wasn't able to work with him on it, but he was telling me things about the organisation when he was involved. And Claire has also joined us as a trustee, and Duncan Chapman, who I'm not sure if people on YouTube can see because he's got his camera switched off, but Duncan, who's doing all the tech behind the scenes in our Zoom here, Duncan is also a trustee. And what was really lovely was when Steve's funeral was in September last year, and at that point some people made donations rather than buying flowers, and Steve's dad, Fred, very kindly donated the money that was sort of donated at the funeral and gave it to Liquid Vibrations, and it's enabled us to fund some of the work we do. So we thought that at Liquid Vibrations, we thought it'd be really nice if we could continue fundraising in the name of Steve to see if we can support some more children so that they can do hydrotherapy. But I thought hydrotherapy sounds quite far out, so I thought the first thing we should do is see and hear some of the work that Liquid Vibrations does. So the first thing we're going to do is listen to a bit of music. Liquid Vibrations got a grant, and it's been working with 2 schools in Kingston, southwest London. One's called Beadlesford and one's called Dysart. And first of all, we're going to listen to a piece of music. The children have been going in the hydrotherapy pool, and often they listen to music that's composed by the artistic director, Joel. But on this occasion, the children have created their own music. So first of all, we're going to hear some of their music, and then we're actually going to see a little video that Joel's made that kind of lets you see the children playing music, and also see some of the children in the pool as well. So let's hear the music first. So that was the music from one school, and now we're going to see a bit of video of the children from the other school. So there you go. It's really lovely to see the sort of enjoyment that the children are getting from playing, and also the you know, you get a feel for the experience of being in a hydrotherapy pool, and of course, you know, listening to your own music that you've just made yourself would be such an amazing experience. You know, being able to recognise the fact that you've done that yourself. So it,
Judith,
yeah.
sorry to interject. I've got someone who's trying to watch on YouTube, and he says he can't see anything. It says video unavailable. So I don't know if that's just him or if there's something wrong with the live stream.
I'm monitoring the live stream here, and as far as I know, it's fine.
So yeah, no, if it's just him, then I'll let him know that it's just him. That's best.
Sorry.
No, just thank you.
So yes, hopefully there are people watching, and hopefully I'm right. So yes, it's a real shame that Steve can't see this video and sort of see the fruits of the work of Liquid Vibrations, but I know he'd be very proud to see all of this. Sue says everything's okay here. And what we have decided to do, we want to be able to raise some money in the name of Steve. The thing that stops schools taking part in Liquid Vibrations projects is that they have to have the right equipment to install in their swimming pool, in their hydrotherapy pools, so that they have underwater speakers so that they can listen to the music, whether it's the music they've made themselves or whether it's Joel's wonderful soundtracks. So we're trying to raise £2,000 to buy a sound system which is going to go into one of the schools that we're hoping to work with in September. I set up a crowdfunder with, well, I say I set up, our fundraiser at Liquid Vibration set it up. We've got £210, I think, already, plus a bit of gift aid, and that's kind of before today. So we really want to try and get that up to £2,000 if we can in the next 2 weeks. I've just put the link to the crowdfunder page into the chat of the YouTube broadcast, so it should be there. I've seen some comments from Adam and Mark already, so great that you're watching. And the link to the crowdfunder is there as well if anybody would like to help us reach that amount. Okay, thank you. So I think we're drawing to the end of our event, and I feel a bit sad actually. We've been planning this for so long that I can't imagine life where we're not planning for it anymore. I thought it would be important to let Steve's music have the last word, so I'm just going to say a few things, a few words of thanks really, before we sort of finish with the last piece, which is one of Steve's pieces. So of course, thank you for joining us. I really hope you've enjoyed celebrating Steve's life and finding out bits that you didn't know before. I've certainly learned things along the way. I'd like to offer, I'm nervous of naming names because I'm bound to forget somebody, but on the other hand, there are some important people that I do need to name. So first of all, I want to thank Sue and Andy, because we've been collaborating all year. You know, I think we had a little chat at the funeral last September, and we've been speaking sometimes on a weekly basis. I mean, the longest we've gone all year is kind of 3 or 4 weeks of not speaking to each other. So we've collaborated all the way, and you know, we've all had points where it's been hard to get ourselves moving, and we've sort of supported each other and encouraged each other. So we did it, and we've made it all happen today. A big thank you to Duncan, who has provided all the tech support today. I suddenly realised I couldn't have done this by myself. It's quite a big job to sort of present and make all the files work and everything, and certainly working out how to make Claire's music work as well was a little bit beyond me, I think. A big thank you to Claire and Sue again. You know, you've come and spoken today, and Claire's performed as well. That's fantastic. Lots of people have contributed photos and ideas and stories. We've had a little Facebook group, which you can keep going, of course. And thanks to Steve. Steve, you were all part of our lives, and you know, we all miss you. And I certainly miss him. I think about him lots. So let's listen to his last piece. It's called The Dome. Andy says that Steve was really proud of this piece. I really like the words as well. It shows that he did have, you know, it shows a side of him, you know, his concern for others and his sort of social conscience comes through in the words of this song. So let's enjoy the last piece. It's got some photos. I've tried to put all his sort of photos around his music making to go along with the music. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you for being part of the event today.